This Detroit Lions team preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up with SGPN to claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL projections are now live. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Long, Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Oh, Sean, we're talking about Detroit at the very end. What is going on?
I know how things have changed. I remember last year's Lions preview. I said, we're getting plus money on the Lions not to make the playoffs. What's going on? Too much hype. They can't live up to it. And they did. They did. The Detroit Lions lived up to the hype. We're going to break down their schedule, our favorite futures. We're going to be joined by chat legend himself. You've heard him on the pregame show. You're going to now, if you're watching on YouTube, check him out. In the flesh, as they say.
Putting him up like he's human up for auction, Sean. Jeez.
Yeah, you're going to get to see everything. And
lot 342.
It's going to be a grand old time. Easy will be joining us, but Ryan, I mean, we have to talk about. There's a number of news items, but of course, we got to talk about this week's edition. And thank you to everyone who tagged us and sent it in of Real Men of Degens.
SGPN presents Real Men of Degen. Real Men of Degen. We salute you.
Notre Dame men's swimming program, who is now suspended for the entire year. The entire team is suspended the entire year because, as it turned out, they were running their own sports book for their swimming performances. Basically, the majority of the returning 24-25 team is believed to have placed bets. Over underlines were established for swimmers' times in certain races, with wagers being placed on the outcomes. There are no known gambling companies that take wagers or produce betting lines on college swimming yet. They also note that the men's diving and women's swimming and diving team are not impacted by the suspension.
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing an organization that thought it'd be best if they created some objectives and key results. I mean, Google created a whole industry out of this type of activity tracking project. Look, this is exactly what you want young people to do. They're getting off the screen.
Yes,
they're creating something out of nothing. They're not relying on the AI to do it. I mean, if anything,
they're having conversations.
They're doing math.
Yeah, they're coming up with line. They're setting goals, trying to beat the goals.
I'd also like
it's competition. It's what sports is all about. Yeah, what are they like betting $20 that they can beat their best time between each other? Who the fuck cares? That's insane that you would suspend them.
I guess if someone was throwing their own fake sportsbook races, then maybe there would be.
Yeah, but also the internal sportsbook. If you know, like I was a dominant breaststroke. Shout out to me. If I was taking my my over on my times, you'd be like, no, you're awesome at the breaststroke, Sean. We're gonna adjust your line because you're taking the. If anything, this is teaching the kids real world skills. It's team building. It's setting goals. It's everything that America was built upon. I mean, when we invaded Normandy, and you know they had a little side pool going, how many krauts can you kill?
Yeah.
Do you think they had a problem with that? Oh, hey, I'm gonna take out 3.5 machine gun nests. Oh no, we don't allow gambling. No, you're trying to achieve the objective. What is going on in this country? Come on, let the kids swim. This is ridiculous. Now, yes, if they were betting on their own matches and throwing those matches, sure, but that doesn't sound like what they were doing.
The reality of most of this, like the idea of match fixing, is it doesn't last very long. It never lasts long. So we're just canceling all these young business. I mean, essentially, this is just classic big
corporate government
going
stepping
after
on
the
small businesses.
And by the way, Sean, one mistake to clean up: they didn't suspend all the swimmers. They got rid of the entire program for a year. Not just the swimmers. So anything to do with the coaching staff,
coaches are fine. Yeah.
No,
the coaches were not. They're not being punished because they were not involved.
Well, but they're not coaching anything next year.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I wonder if they still get paid. That's interesting.
Also, makes me think the coaches were the rats here.
I don't know. But
what do you think really happened?
Someone got a bad line and complained, and it blew up the whole thing. That's usually.
I have a feeling there was something more going on, and this is the story we're getting right now.
That's usually how things go.
This was at Notre Dame, right?
We are not running our own sportsbook. We are running a giveaway, aka the phrase that pays. Someone, a loyal listener, is going to walk away with a $500 NFL Circa future. I'm not going to put it down on anything else except an NFL future at the Circa. 1 word per day, 32 word phrase. All is the Lions word. All, ALL. Write it down. Shout out to people who are guessing. Now that there's only 3 words left after this episode, people have gotten really, really close to getting it right.
All in, like the Detroit Lions in 2024.
Perfect transition, Ryan. They are going all in. Like what I've seen out of them in the offseason.
Everything but the Hulk Hogan situation. Dan Campbell did not. I mean, I guess that's a positive for the football team, but Dan Campbell did not have time to spend.
I liked
to
it.
hang out with
as
Hulk Hogan.
As Dan Campbell fan, fellow caffeine lover. Although my heart would explode if I had my frame. Even though I'm a Starbucks addict, my frame could not handle. He gets like a venti triple shot, and he does 2 of them. Right. That's like an insane amount of caffeine.
It's like he must be in the finance game. Got to keep those uppers going all the time.
Well, and the Lions have been a great team to bet on past couple of years. They've exceeded their win total by 2.5 games past couple of years. They've finished over 60% ATS last 2 years, and a ton of continuity. Head coach, offensive coach,
all of it.
And defensive coach and quarterback, all 3 years in a row. And I mean, being able to keep Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, who was certainly a sexy. I mean, he probably almost certainly could have gotten a head coaching job. Right?
Yeah, he said, "No, thank you, Carolina. That looks like a dumpster fire. I'd rather be here until a good job opens up."
And you look at their schedule, which we'll break down here in just a few minutes. They play a ton of indoor games, which this team and I think they can handle the outdoor because they have a good offensive line. PFF ranks their offensive line number 1. Jared Goff indoors. You look at his indoor outdoor split. I think 11-2 last 13 games indoor. They overachieved a little bit based on their 4th quarter win share, but I guess that's not surprising, considering that I think they're a well coached team. They have some mojo. We questioned a little bit them playing their starters in that meaningless game, but they did get a little banged up, and that may have hurt them in the wild card, but they still got the win in the wild card against the Bucks. And they seemingly rallied after getting jobbed in that Dallas game, which revenge is on the schedule as well for them, and played really well. So I don't know, man. It's tough to really poke holes in this Lions team. Maybe they hit a wall in the playoffs, but I think they're really set up for success in the regular season. They have had a couple of injuries so far. Nothing super serious.
They were one of the like everything's wrong. Gibbs is out for the season to nope, just an ankle sprain. What is going on with these guys this year?
Yeah, I mean,
we've had
who was the Addison, the Vikings receiver? It went from ACL out for the year to he'll be back at practice next week. These accounts are like just chomping at the bit.
It's the aggregate,
the clout chasers. Yes.
No, but they have to report the cart.
Yeah.
And so once the cart comes out, then someone makes connects the dots and this guy's out.
Yeah. They're just
season.
it's an ACL. He's out for the season. It happened to your boy, Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah. Great example. It went from he did something severe. He's going to miss the season to nope, just a high ankle sprain to just an ankle sprain It's like, how do we wait? Why are you bringing an air cast out for an ankle sprain? First of all, like who again, this is the Ian Rappaport syndrome. Just poor reporting, trying to get there first and leaving.
Wasn't it Ian Rappaport was right though on that report.
Here you are again, just trying to get on Team Rappaport.
I want to get in with Ian Rappaport, not Cleve TA. I love Cleve TA's guide.
What's happening?
But Cleve TA came at me. I said Sam Darnold sucks. It started this whole debate.
It does kind of suck.
Yes. And I was pointing out, usually by the time you get to your fourth team, we kind of know who you are. And shout out to Sam Darnold. Beautiful timing on your sad pick 6 with the horrible body language, slumped over after the interception, right after the debate of whether Sam Darnold sucks. And then Cleve TA comes at me. He's like, well, I put my neck out. I said I was higher on market than Geno Smith in 2022 and Baker Mayfield in 2023. One, you said in your 2023 Tampa Bay column, which I read because I read all your stuff, it is a good guide. But in the 2023 column, you said it's not going to be a reach for them to go over 6.5 wins. That's different than giving out them to win the NFC South at 9-1, which I did on this show. And in 2022, you weren't high on Geno Smith. You accused them of tanking. I know because I read the guide, and if you listen to the 2022 Seahawks preview, I said this team is not going to tank under Pete Carroll, and I think they can get a decent record out of Geno Smith. I think I had him like 8-9 or 9-8 when everyone thought they were going to be the worst team in the league. I didn't have them in the playoffs, but I did have them like 2.5 games over their win total. Check the fucking receipts. I mean, come on.
Some real inside baseball.
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
Poor Lions fans.
Win total for the Lions in 2023, 9.5 wins. Soared over it with 12 wins. Got a playoff win. We were on the under, Ryan. We were skeptical, but they shoved it in our face. They restored the roar, and even like some of the regression stuff, their turnover margin was 0. Their turnover luck, middle of the pack. DVOA 5th offensively. DVOA defensively 13th. Hutchinson having an improved year, I think is certainly possible. I like what they did in the draft. I think when we bring on Easy, I would imagine his biggest concern is maybe some of the back end stuff. They did lose Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Let's take a look at the roster a little bit.
Yeah, Easy is always concerned about that backside.
Lost Josh Reynolds, who had some decent moments for them. I'm not really worried about their pass game.
Josh Reynolds and Jared Goff were bros.
They did have a little bit of connection there. Losing Vaitai, some offensive line depth, but by all accounts, their O-line should be pretty good. And Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, we'll see. It's rookie cornerbacks, but I like what they're doing there.
Hopefully Arnold's okay. He did get into a severe accident.
Really?
Yeah. Andrew Thomas ran his ass over in joint practices. Sorry, it was the talk of a day. I mean, he had to get checked for a concussion. Turned out there was no CTE. Yeah, they did a little bit like your Eagles, right? They went out and attacked the back end of the defense. Yeah,
they attacked a need, but I don't think they overdrafted either one of those guys.
No.
And Jahmyr Gibbs should be pretty good for them. It's hard. What is the biggest concern coming in for the Lions? To me, it's still, you might be able to throw on them, but I think they're built to compete offensively with that. And if their turnover differential breaks right for them, if they get like a +5, +6 with the favorable schedule, I mean, considering they're playing a first place schedule, the fact that they're playing a bunch of dome games, I think the schedule kind of broke right for them.
Certainly the situational aspect made it so it's not super difficult. You mentioned the inequity of like just having good inside games, but also the concern would still be the defense, Sean.
Yeah.
They went from 27th in DVOA in 2022 to 13th last year.
So you're saying that jump maybe not sustainable?
I mean, I don't think any of us believe in Aaron Glenn as a defensive coordinator. I think if anything, you talk yourself into the idea that the advantageous positions the offense put the defense in was a lot to do with that. There's not any sort of particular thing you can even point to last year and be like, well, that was really, really good. Like, I guess the pass rush, I guess that's what the area you put to. They were solid. They were solid, but to me, again, this is where we expect there to be variance in the defense. We expect there to be, in this case, probably a step back. And so, can you tell the story of the offense getting even better and helping to neutralize that? I think you kind of can.
Yeah.
And so maybe I don't necessarily care too much about the defense
and
taking a step back.
And Sam Laporta, who normally rookie tight ends take a little bit to get involved in the passing game. It's a tough position to learn because you're learning obviously like the receiver stuff and the blocking stuff with the O-line. You're basically having to learn 2 position groups, but he hit the ground running, 10 touchdowns, great year receiving and great addition to the team. So,
and just weapons everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, say what you will about Goff, he's now entering the 3rd year into a system. You already talked about the continuity.
Yeah.
But it's also just, we've seen Jared Goff now twice in his career. The first time Sean McVay was given all the credit, but this will be the second time in his career where he progressed in an offensive system and got better over time, got the contract. I guess that would be another thing I would throw out there as being slightly concerning. If there was any sort of like small piece of the chip on his shoulder that went away when he got that contract.
Yeah, it could be.
But I think it's hard to argue that there's a quarterback in a better situation this year to have like the highest level of success than Jared Goff, especially of the guys we don't typically talk about.
Well, and also too, as we know, the MVP almost certainly comes from either the number 1 or the number 1 seed, and it's almost always the quarterback. So you look at the Lions' odds to be the number 1 seed, it's like 6-1. You look at Jared Goff to be MVP, you can find 35-1. So that's kind of a crazy price difference in the market. People don't believe Jared Goff is an MVP, but if he puts up massive numbers and they're number 1 seed, he's going to be right there in the mix.
So on May 13th, when we broke down the MVP market, which again, you got to listen, you got to tune into the offseason.
Well, or worst case, you get the Patreon, you get the sheets.
Yeah. Jared Goff, 35-1.
Yeah.
Was one of the futures that I highlighted. Just, it seemed like the price was out of whack. So yeah, stay tuned to later, but I do think the story of this year's Lions will be like if things go south, I don't even, it would have to be injuries to key offensive personnel.
Yeah.
To me. Cause I don't even know if I have, like, if this defense is 25th in the league and the offense is 2nd, I think that's still good enough to win their division. I think that's still good enough to compete in the conference, especially if they gain some sort of home edge and play games in the Dome in Detroit.
And Ryan, they got a competent number 2, of course, Nate Sudfeld. Say shout out to Nate Sudfeld, finding a spot on the NFL. Oh, hopefully we can get I'm sure they're getting a nice look of him in the preseason. Let's get to it, Ryan. Enough messing around. We're about to bring on our guest. Before we do, shout out to Underdog Fantasy, Best Ball Mania here, 15 million up for grabs. Of course, use underdogfantasy.com. It is the best way to play fantasy football. You don't want to be managing your team all year. You're going to be busy grinding out some bets. You don't need to be worrying about the waiver wire. Underdog Fantasy, Best Ball Mania, super fun. We did a bunch of best ball drafts. I'm sure we'll crank out a couple more here before the season officially kicks off. The higher lower, super fun. They have a ton of sports, PLL, of course, NFL Week 1 already there. They have a bunch of use it or lose it Week 1 specials. So get set up, active in a ton of states. If you're looking for action, you're in Texas, California, even our good buddies up in Canada, you can get down over at underdogfantasy.com and use that promo code SGPN. Get a sweet deposit match up to $250 in bonus cash. And we're also brought to you by Circus Sports, Circus Survivor. Sign up for the best contest, the highest paying contest in the world. You think you know ball? Prove it. Get in the Circa Million, 6 million up for grabs. Get in Circus Survivor, 10 million up for grabs. Come out, hang out with us. Ultimate contest weekend, open bar events, 15% off your hotel when you use the promo code SGP15. And you can't consider yourself a sports gambler without having visited Circa in Las Vegas. It's an amazing casino property built for the sports gambler. Ryan, we've been touting Circa even when they're not sponsors. It's just an awesome spot, awesome hang. And of course we got a sweet promo going with our proxy.footballcontest.com. Sign up over there. He will put your picks in every week, so you don't have to do it in Nevada. Enter Nevada, play from anywhere. And if you use our proxy, you get $50 off and a free SGP hat. Get all the info over at circusports.com. joining us on the line to talk all things Detroit Lions. You've heard him a bunch on the show, calling in some post-game, pre-game shows. See him in the chats. The one, the only, Easy. What's happening, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I like it. Very relaxed intro here. Very relaxed gentleman, feeling very confident.
I'm relaxed.
Yeah. Ryan's also relaxed. So Easy. Now you don't live in Detroit anymore. Did you grow up in the Detroit area? How'd you become a Lions fan?
No, so I'm from Virginia, still live in Virginia. Been here my whole life. I became a Lions fan in 2008, actually, when they went 0-16. Mainly
What was the appeal then?
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of the underdog.
Yeah.
And I never really had an NFL team before that. I kind of flip-flop between players and stuff like that. So in the 2008 season, watching the games, I would always kind of keep my eye on the Lions and just win one game. And then they went, 0-4, 0-8, 0-12. So when they finished the season 0-16, I was like, all right, well, I have to just be a fan now. And it just kind of stuck from there. Yeah.
That is how I picked the Clippers when I moved to LA. Which team's worse? Okay.
Yeah, Clippers are fun because no one. I mean, you're probably rare in the Lions fan community of a guy who just decided, hey, I'm gonna buy. It's the ultimate buy low opportunity. Stocks,
Seriously.
crypto. I mean, you found the shit coin at its lowest, and you're hoping to ride it. And again, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, easy probably are. The fact that you willingly chose to be a Lions fan, I think has to earn you some street cred in the Lions.
Derek would
fandom.
love you.
Yes,
Derek would absolutely love you.
Yeah, Derek was born into it. You willingly chose to rep Detroit. And do you get out to games much, Easy?
I've actually never been to Detroit before. I've seen one Lions game, and it was in Baltimore, and we got our ass beat by like 30, which par for the course.
Sounds like a true Lions experience, but it is a dawn of a new day. Lions, I had a money line against the 49ers. And if it wasn't for that fucking, who was it? Brandon Ayuk, the ball hit him right in the head, and then he was still able to pull it down. Where are you at overall with this Lions team coming into 2024? It's got to feel weird. Again, breaking down this team this late with expectations. I guess to me that's the biggest concern. Is like a lot of stuff went right last year. Got the first playoff win. Got that monkey off your back. Where are you at with the Lions coming into 2024?
Yeah. So last year at the start of the season, I said I was pessimistically optimistic. This year, I'm optimistically optimistic.
Wow. That's the only thing that's scary, I think, right?
It is scary. I've never felt this before, so it's new territory for I think all Lions fans. Yeah. But just looking at everything and how it's gone, I think there's reason for optimism. I really like the guys that we brought in. We didn't lose anybody that I deem really important. Obviously Josh Reynolds is probably the biggest loss, but I think we have guys that can step in his place and not only do what he did last year, but actually improve on what he did last year. And then to Ryan's point of, the defense regresses from last year or even stays the same. I actually disagree with that. I think we're going to be substantially better this year. Granted, we couldn't be a whole lot worse, being 29th in passing defense last year, but I think the guys that we brought in are really going to help us out a lot.
So yeah, what's your biggest case for optimism on the defense? What is maybe the casual person who looks at this Lions defense and be like, I like them, but the pass defense still scares me. Where's the optimism coming from?
Well, so obviously, like I said, last year we were 29th in pass defense. I think there was really two reasons for that. As good as our defensive line was last year, we didn't really get a whole lot of sacks. We were 22nd in sacks last year. Bringing in DJ Reader and Marcus Davenport, who have respectively a 12.9% win rate on their pass rush and 17.8% win on the pass rush in their careers, which are both top 20. That's going to help Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, and just get pressure on the quarterback so they don't have all day to throw. And then on top of that, we have the two guys that we drafted, which are going to get playing time. But the two that actually I like more is Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson.
Yeah.
They both bring in physicality and aggressiveness, which is what our defense has kind of built over the last 2 years. And on top of that, they can both run down the field with pretty much any receiver in the league, which is the main, I guess, negative on the defense last year. We gave up more 20-plus yard plays than any team in the league last year. So being able to have two guys that can run with these receivers is going to help a lot, on top of having, Brian Branch back and healthy, hopefully, and those guys in the secondary. So yeah. I think we're going to have a lot of good pieces.
Branch was a guy I wrote down as far as like digging around camp reports. He is supposedly having a really good camp and like been locking down.
Classic slow safety who falls in the draft.
Yeah,
like turns out to be a steal.
Yeah, there's a lot of optimism about Branch in the camp reporting. So co-sign that.
I did watch a breakdown on their defense and how it does seem like with who they brought in, it might unlock their ability to play a little bit more man, a little bit more. I mean, it's still going to rely on that pass rush, but if the pass rush gets home this year, I think they're better equipped on the back end to not have as many of those kind of leaks and which turn into those, 35, 31 type games. But, teams that rely on that kind of stuff, also an injury here or there, and all of a sudden, it's great to have all these guys, but if there becomes a weak spot, and we did see Carlton Davis get burned a little bit down in Tampa. Like, he's good at what he's good at, but he's also beatable. And so, yeah, I think maybe they take a step forward, to Easy's point, but that regression's coming. Like the massive jump seems less sustainable. Even if the back end gets better, I would be willing to bet that we see something else take a step back. Maybe the linebacking play, maybe the front side of the line. But yeah, we've gone this far and not even mentioned Anal Zone.
Yeah, Anzalone,
who's turned into like a great play. He was a joke from The Sims, and now he's like a stud.
He's like a legit guy. We're hearing Ryan was in the office. They're like they're talking about Anal Zone, and in like positive reporting. Yeah, I'm with you on maybe some regression stuff, but to me, the fact that their turnover differential was 0 and still 12-5. Like I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're on the positive side turnover differential once this season ends, and I think that might balance out some of the miscues, maybe some of the potential injuries. But let's take a look at the odds. Hop in on the schedule. Of course, right now win total 10.5. Ooh, that is spicy.
Is it?
I mean. For the Detroit Lions, yeah, I think this is probably their highest win total ever in franchise history. 10.5, make playoffs -230, miss playoffs +150, miss playoffs is +185, division +140, conference +550, Super Bowl 12-1. Ryan, let's fire it up. What do we got here for the NFC North division and the Detroit Lions?
All right, quadrants. Which, by the way, unrelated story about Detroit. If you ever visit Detroit, Easy, when you're coming into town from the airport, there is before they built that sign that everyone was clowning, the Detroit sign, they're a big tire on display. So it is a beautiful city. Definitely in the summertime, and you can go over to Windsor, do some gambling.
Yeah, shout out to Canada.
You can actually gamble in Detroit too. Sean and I actually shut down a craps table one time when they told us that they were closing and that we needed to go.
I didn't know that we were. What was it? The BetMGM casino.
Yeah, MGM in Detroit.
Yeah, it was like 3 a.m. hit, and they're like, "All right, we're closing up." We're like, "Wait, that happens?"
Like, what do you mean? I'm trying to gamble here.
Yeah, I was like, I want to give you money for the craps, and they're like, "Nope, sorry." We're going to bed.
What am I going to do with the rest of these cigarettes? All right. First 4 weeks, unlike a lot of the teams in the beginning of our series, Sean, who were getting 3 road games and 4 games, the Lions, 3 home games and 4 games. Rams on Sunday night, a little Goff revenge spot. Will we hear the stories about how McVay will know how to beat Jared Goff once again? Feels like those stories are getting stale. Then you got the Bucks.
Rams did cover.
They did cover. The Bucks then come into town. Then we go a trip out to the desert to take on the Cardinals, and then the Seahawks on Monday Night football. So 2 primetime games in the first 4. I don't love the early bye week. Doesn't seem like the most effective time for a team like the Lions to have it. But this is 4-0 potential, right?
I think so. I think the fact that it's a revenge game for both the Rams and the Bucks. I think, and I do think, that, I mean, week 1 is going to be in a playoff like environment, right? Like everyone in the city of Detroit is buying into this Lions team.
They're not losing that game.
Right. We talk about it. I mean, Derek mentioned it, like Sunday night, it is going to be, they're going to have all day to be drinking. It is going to be a fucking bonkers environment, which to me is awesome for their chances against the Rams in game 1. Even Sean McVay, I read a quote about how tough that environment was in the playoffs, how they got, Rams fans aren't used to playing in front of fans. It kind of took them back a little bit.
It's an actual sports town that has a good team now, and it's a dome. Like that pairing doesn't exist in
as much as I do side with Colby, I do like outdoor football. There is the home edge does come through with the noise. Which it's going to be a crazy environment. So if they get that win week 1, man, there is a letdown opportunity against a sneaky Bucks team week 2, which has a trio of pretty good receivers and Baker coming to town with a chip on his shoulder. I do like their chances against the Seahawks Monday night. They're at Cardinals, probably like their chance. I'm going to go 3-1, but 4-0 is in the possibility. What are you doing, Ryan? Are you going 4-0?
I mean, the shortest spread is 3.5. Sure, maybe I'll talk myself into Kyler as a dog there, but like schematically, that could be a bad matchup for the Cardinals.
I will go 4-0 because I think that the end half of their schedule gets kind of tough. I want to balance it out, and I am optimistic on them getting off to a good start. So I'll go 4-0. Easy. How say you, Lions first 4?
I got them 4-0 here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
keep going. Sorry.
The Rams to me are the only one that's iffy here, obviously just with the Stafford spot. But if you look at their season last year, most of their games were actually won through the run game with Kyron Williams. And obviously they got Blake Corum this year too. But with as good as our rush defense was last year and then potentially bolstering that this year, of course we won't have DJ Reader, but still, I think we do what we did last year, but instead of a 1-point win, it's probably by a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, all right, we're 4-0, Ryan. We're drinking that Lions Kool-Aid. What do they got next quadrant?
So it flips around. We got 3 road games and 4 games at Cowboys, at Vikings. Sam Darnold will be the starter.
He's awesome.
Alert the misses. Titans at home, at Packers. I will be splitting the Packers and Lions games this year, so that will be a loss.
Breaking news:
the Vikings are getting swept.
Okay,
and the Cowboys, real trash team coming off the bye.
I mean, they've had this game circled as soon as the schedule came out. You want to get a game of the year line in. Lions at Cowboys. They're gonna fuck the Cowboys up. I feel very good about that.
I feel like. Are they capable of blowing a game against the Titans at home, or do I go 3-1?
I mean, they're fortunate that the Titans game is at home because a non-conference opponent sandwiched between 2 road division games after an emotional Cowboys game, which they'll be up for, I think is a sneaky spot. So, and they do have 2 road division games. I like their chances. I'll go 3-1 because I think. I don't know which one it is, but I think they'll drop one of those.
And write down last undefeated team for the Lions. That bet's getting put in later. We just got them to 7-0, Sean.
I mean, certainly.
And the bye week is kind of a cheat code, right?
Yeah.
They push out the weeks a little bit.
Keeps them alive. Easy. What about you? Next quadrant here. What do you got them going?
Yeah, I got us 3-1. I think the Packers split makes a lot of sense, especially just because, well, for one, I hate this bye week. It's so early. I hate early bye weeks, but Cowboys are one of 2 teams that our social media people made a TikTok of all of our players coming in like the first day of training camp with these like popsicle things with all the teams we played this year on them and said, what team are you looking forward to play the most this year? And almost every player that didn't hold up all of them either held up the Cowboys or the 49ers. So we are going to be ready for those 2 games more than any other one. And to come off a bye for the Cowboys game too, there's no way we lose that game. So the only one I'm really worried about here is the Packers, just because it's at Lambeau. And for whatever reason, we just can't play well at Lambeau. I think Aaron Rodgers just kind of fucked it up for us. So yeah, I got us 3-1.
And to be clear, that is their first outdoor game of the season.
Yep. First game outside of a beautiful dome environment. All right, so we're 8 weeks in.
Yep.
Coming into week 10 here. Pretty balanced schedule so far. We got at Texans on Sunday Night Football, which is only the second or third time that they're underdogs this season. And all of those dog spots are less than a field goal. Then you have the Jags coming to town at Colts, and then the Bears on Thanksgiving, short week there. Boy, if it was Packers on Thanksgiving, I think I would feel differently about this, but I think they definitely win the Thanksgiving game now. What could possibly go wrong?
Do we know the moon cycle? Remember that last year was
we'll have to
the waxing gibbous moon. The Lions never win. Unfortunately, the Lions losing at home kind of jump started the Packers season, and they're a little bit of a run there. This is interesting part of the schedule because at Colts, like road game before the Bears Thanksgiving game, that's a droppable game, and at Texans on Sunday Night Football, I think could be a tough spot. I'll go slightly more conservative here at 2-2. Kramer, what are you doing?
When I just again though when they line up against this Texans team, there's no way I'm not. If it's a pick'em -1, there's no way I'm not going to want to be on the Detroit side here. Even though it's after a Packers game, if it's a loss, if it's their first loss of the season and it's a back-to-back road spot in Houston, prime time, kind of like them to pick that up, like them against the Jags. To your point, maybe the Colts is the game they trip up. So I go 3-1.
3-1. Easy. What about you?
I got us 4-0 here.
4-0. All right.
Oh,
yeah. So I will say I have us losing either the Packers or Texans. So if we beat the Packers, we lose to the Texans. They are coming off like a mini bye. You know, they have the Thursday night game the week prior to playing us. So that will factor in a little bit. But if we lose to the Packers, then it's going to be a get right spot for us and we'll beat them. So since I had the Packers game a loss, I'm going to have this one 4-0.
4-0. So easy sitting at 11-1. I'm 9-3. Kramer 10-2.
All right, we got then a week after Thanksgiving, we have a Packers game on Thursday night. Then the Bills come to town, week 15, at Bears, at Niners on Monday night, and then Vikings to close out the season.
Yeah, I mean, to me, in a weird way, I think at Chicago
they lose that one.
They might because it's an outdoor game. And they're looking, I know they're going to say they're not looking ahead. They're not looking past the Bears, but they have that 49ers game circled.
100% they're looking
which could be tricky too. I mean, and then even the Vikings at home. Yeah. You're looking at that right now. You're chalking it up as a win, but if they win that 49ers game, that's a massive letdown spot for them against the Vikings, I think. So I think I'm going to go 3-2. Cause I think, I'll go 3-2, but you could make a case for higher.
Bills is an interesting spot too, because they're like, you could say, well, the Lions are coming off those back-to-back Thursday night divisional games.
Yeah.
They do have the mini bye. Well, they flip it around. The Bills are coming off a Monday night game against the Niners and a game against the Rams in LA. So it will be a back-to-back road spot for the Bills. I think I might go 4-1 here, Sean.
4-1. Wow. Okay. So you got 14-3, Ryan.
Wow.
I mean, that's high. I think
they'll be better than last year.
Yeah.
I think the defense will not be as good. I think there'll be elements of the defense that won't be as good, but it won't matter because the offense will be better.
No, I mean I'm with you. Like I think I kind of played it a little conservative here, but
what do we do with Jared Goff sucks island? Do we mortgage it out? Do we let Easy have it for the fall?
I don't know. Maybe we can mortgage it and put that mortgage on
we're underwater, dude.
On a Goff MVP. Yeah, we got in when the APR was low and we might be a little it was those zero down loans that caused the housing crisis. Easy. What do you got here for the last 5?
So I was going to say it's been 40 minutes and there's been no Jared Goff sucks island mentioned. You know the tides are turning.
Yes, it's a new day for Lions.
This is us getting burned hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was 3-2 in the last 5. One of the losses, honestly, is just the Lions are bound to lose one game they shouldn't every year. So I'm just kind of fitting that into these last 5. My thought process is probably the Bills, even though we should beat them. It just seems like a spot where, I don't know, something happens, we do something stupid and we end up losing.
Bills are a good dome team too.
Yeah. And then the other one is I actually have the Bears as a loss. I obviously think we should sweep them, but like I said earlier with the whole social media thing, it is a huge look ahead spot. We're so determined to beat these 49ers.
I know.
We'll probably beat the Bears pretty easily on Thanksgiving. So we probably won't take them as seriously because of that. And it just seems like it could be a huge letdown spot. And then obviously we beat the 49ers, and that's probably for the number 1 seed at that point too, which is just added, pressure to win that game and added as a look ahead spot for the Bears loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then who knows if you lock up the number 1 seed, or, we always talk about locking up the 1 seed, but also as we saw last year, there's a lot of situations where it'll be interesting because I mean, they had their playoff seed essentially locked up last year and they still played their starters. I don't know if they're going to do that again this year. It's interesting.
Well,
we could beat this Vikings teams with our backups. So that
I was going to say,
there you go.
I was going to say they're playing it. I mean, at this point, Justin Jefferson will be upset and not wanting to play football because Sam Darnold sucks. Yeah, no, I was wait. What did I finish with? 14-3.
Yeah.
Whoa.
See, I 12-5, and I felt like I was being conservative. I mean, this is a pretty damn good Lions team. All right, we're going to break down all our futures, and I'm sure Easy's got some. I know Ryan's got some loaded up in the hopper. But before we get to that, shout out to Rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, the place for AI sports picks and props. Got you covered. NFL week 1, college football week 0. It is so fun to put together your own model, or if you don't feel like doing that, you can let Rhythm's model do the heavy lifting for you. Been doing a very good job with the WNBA and golf, giving out a ton of winners. They even have like a best dogs button that is pretty fun to hit and just highlight the plus money opportunities.
Does it make a barking sound effect?
They
let
should.
them know. Let them know they need a sound there.
I will pass that along to the Rhythm team. But yeah, it's a super fun app, very easy to use. And give it a shot. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Free 7-day trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And sorry, Top Dogs is the name of it. So sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, Kramer. I know you're chomping at the bit to unload on some Lions futures. I'll start with the over 10.5 wins. Sounds like we're all on board with that. I'll also toss in NFC North at +140. I think the fact that you can get plus odds on this Lions team, we're going to look back and be like, hey, that was a pretty darn good price. What about you, Ryan? I'll let you take it from here.
My largest bet out in Vegas in terms of risk right now is the Lions to win the division. +150 at the Circa. I know you can still find some +150s out there too.
Oh, okay. Nice.
To me, they should be priced at least, give me a -135, something reasonable. This seems absolutely crazy. The gap between them and the Packers is larger than I think some folks are thinking, which brings me to another point. Passing leaders in the division, Sean.
Yeah.
Would you believe it if I told you that Jared Goff is not favored over Jordan Love?
Really? Okay. What is his
For passing yards, he is.
Okay.
It's -140. We're not doing that. Passing touchdowns. Jared Goff is +185.
Yeah, I'm in on that. 100%.
What are we doing? He's throwing 29 and 30. And, again, I think the offense could take a step forward here. Even if he throws 30 again, how are you pricing this at +185 just based on Jordan? To me, this is the most in love market with Jordan Love. That just and honestly, even if you just compare it to the yardage, it does not seem to make sense.
I think at the very least, it should be close to even, right?
Yeah, sure. No, Goff should be favored.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, even I'm being like if they're hanging a 185.
All right.
I think they should be like -120.
This is chalky, but last undefeated team, the Lions. We saw how easy this schedule is to start. They're basically favored or a tiny dog in every game, all the way out to week 11 or whatever. We've kind of put the flag in the sand for that Packers game week 8. So if they get to that point, they cash you this ticket for sure. I'm taking that one 8-1. Love that one. They have one of the easiest early schedules. You want to talk about a team that you want to get all of your positive stuff in early? It's the Lions. If you want to fade the Lions, wait till the middle of the season when they have an insane record. Continuing down the road. Did you want to maybe throw a couple out, Sean?
Yeah. So no, I can
keep doing.
I mean, I was gonna tag on. I'm co-signing your Jared Goff NFC North passing touchdowns at +185. I like that as well. I'm also gonna throw in Jared Goff most passing touchdowns in the league. I mean, at 16-1, this offense, this offensive line, the dome environment, like
I'd rather have MVP.
Really?
Even at this depressed price.
I'll take the passing touchdowns at 16-1. But yeah, I mean, you like MVP at 30-1.
Well, having a ticket on 35-1 for Goff, I'd still bet it if you like if you're bullish on the Lions this year. Everything that you laid out about the 1 seed odds price comparison to the MVP for Jared Goff, is someone else going to win the MVP on this team if they're the 1 seed? So if they go 14-3 and Jared Goff has a season like he had last year, you don't think he's getting the MVP?
Yeah, no, I mean the pricing makes sense. I'll just stay at the passing touchdown 16-1.
Okay.
But I mean the value alone, the pricing difference between the 1 seed and MVP makes it seem like it's a good bet. But I'll keep it with passing touchdowns. So what else you got, Ryan?
You want underdog?
Sure, toss that out too.
Well, this is fine to play in any sort of marketplace, but the projection for Jared Goff 41-25.5 yards. I mean, again, we're just assuming he's going to get hurt if he doesn't get this number. 44-38 2 seasons ago, 45-75 last season. I don't know what the version of this team where he doesn't get there. So yeah, honestly, his yards, his touchdowns, again, they're pricing his touchdowns at 25.5 or 26.5. Seems quite low, but the yardage seems like the angle I would take there. So higher.
Yeah, and I'll toss in for my underdog, Porta higher 850.5 receiving yards. I think he's. I mean, what else do you want to see from him? Great season. I wouldn't be surprised if he adds on to it. 10 touchdowns is tough to repeat, but I think he's going to be in the mix for it. But to me, there's less variance in the receiving yards because he is such a staple. He's going to get the volume. You never know with the touchdown stuff. Maybe it breaks a little wrong for him, but I still like the touchdowns, but I think the yards to me is a better play. So yeah, Laporta higher receiving yards, Goff North passing touchdowns, most passing touchdowns in the league, NFC North and over 10.5 wins. Easy. What do you got for this Lions team?
Yeah, I got a bunch. So obviously they over 10.5, division winner, conference winner, Super Bowl winner. I'm going on all of them.
What do you get the Super Bowl at over there?
So right now, I saw it at plus 1,200. I bet it the day after the Super Bowl at plus 1,400.
All right, nice. I'll give you the 14 for the sheet.
Yeah, I put way too much money on it the day after the Super Bowl, but I still like it. So
yeah, come on.
Yeah, no complaints. I'm also on last unbeaten team.
Okay.
Like I said, the first loss I have is either the Packers or Texans week 9 or 10. That's the one reason I like the bye, I guess, is for that. The only other team that I really see getting that stretch with us would maybe be your Eagles, because y'all's schedule's kind of easy up front too.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, I think it's probably going to be between those two. So I think it's great odds there. A fun one that I like is Amon-Ra, Laporta, and Jamison Williams to each have 6+ receiving touchdowns. That's plus 600.
Okay. So wait, Amon-Ra, Amon-Ra, Jamison Williams, and Laporta each 6 touchdowns.
Yeah. So my thought process with that one is Amon-Ra and Laporta are easily going to get to 6. So you're basically just getting 6-1 odds on Jamison Williams getting 6 touchdowns, which by itself is only plus 200.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Look, I mean,
that's math.
It's got the math solved.
That's math.
You got to find that value.
Can I add one real quick, Sean?
Sure.
Well, if I'm going to do the last undefeated team, I should also do that 5 wins in their first 5 games is 6-1.
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's almost a better bet.
You know what? I'm gonna add that.
Oh,
because their first
the Cowboys would be the 5th win that we could celebrate coming off the bye.
So 5 wins in first 5 is what is 6-1.
6-1.
Yeah, I like that. This team will get off to a decent start, I think.
Yeah, although, I like that one too.
Don't fuck this up against the Rams. Although let's see, Rams was 3.5. I don't know. Could be a field goal game. I don't want to lock in any of my week 1 picks. I got to go through my process. So easy. You like? Sorry, keep going. What else you got?
Yeah. So my next one is Aiden Hutchinson over 10.75 sacks.
Okay.
He had 11.5 last year, and we added 2 guys that'll help him get to the quarterback. So for his number to be lower than what it was last year with added help makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and his underlying stuff, like those weren't Fugazi sacks.
He's a handful.
Even though his hands may be on the small side, he does seem to be a good pass rusher.
Yeah, we did shake Aiden Hutchinson's hand, and that was the takeaway. It's like, is he? Maybe he's not going to be able to succeed at the next level at these.
I was
smaller. Well, you know what it is. It's not like he has small hands, but then you shake a guy like Chris Long's hand or some of these other guys that are in the league, and it's like, oh my God, it's like you're like I mean, I don't have big hands by any means, so you feel like almost a ball in a catcher's mitt, like your entire hand is enveloped by the other guy. It's like, oh my God, this dude's massive.
Some of these guys, it's like, Jesus, must have huge dicks.
You can only
long.
You can only wonder how big Nick Foles' hand is. So sorry to interrupt there, Easy. What else you got?
Yeah, so I have 2 other ones. I have Sam Laporta over 7.5 receiving touchdowns.
Okay.
I do like your yards, but I just think touchdowns make more sense for him. You know, he led the team last year in red zone targets, which is kind of nuts considering we have Amon-Ra right there. But he led the team in red zone, and he also caught 94% of his red zone targets. So he's a reliable guy in the red zone. He's going to get his looks down there. And then to add to that, I also put a little bit on him for most receiving touchdowns at plus 2,400.
Okay.
You know, he had 10 last year. Last year it was only 13, so he was 3 away. In his second year with Goff, he should improve, you would think, especially with Josh Reynolds leaving. So he'll probably get even more red zone looks, which just adds on to what he did last year.
It's tough to argue with the case, Ryan.
I like the optimism.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Full menu.
Full menu. We're like at a Jersey diner, Ryan. You can order everything off Easy's menu.
And no matter what you order, you get coleslaw.
What else you got? Do you have any more left, Easy?
Yeah, I have one more. It's James.
Perfect.
Jamison Williams over 675.5 receiving yards.
670.5. You said
675.5.
Okay.
Now this did just go up like a few days ago. It was 650. So obviously the books are seeing something, or they're just getting bet on a lot. But I've just been really high on Jamison Williams in this offseason. You know, in multiple interviews, both Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson have talked about how well he's doing, you know, in training camp and everything, how he'll do anything they ask. He's shown that he's a great blocker, so he's obviously going to stay on the field. And he only had 42 targets last year, and he still got to over 400 yards. So if he can do that with, or close to 400 yards. So if he can do that with 42 targets in a year where his target share should probably double that, I think this is an easy number for him to get over, and it's only 40 yards a game. He can do that in one completion or one reception. So it just seems too low for me not to take.
Yeah, and Josh Reynolds, you're looking at 40 catches, 608 yards being vacated. I could see him eating up some of the Reynolds looks for sure.
Yeah, I think he gets the bulk share of them. The only other option that I could really see is other than Jameson Williams and the other two, we haven't really had a whole lot of good news out of our receiving core. So I think there's a really good chance that Vaki, the running back, can actually get some looks in the slot for us. And he could eat a few of those targets, but it's not going to be enough to really impact Jameson that much.
Vaki is Vaki a guy you're drafting in best ball at all? Does he have enough of a role?
Vaki.
Are we gonna be playing Vaki first touchdowns?
Yeah, I actually really like Vaki. And it's more for the potential of having him at the slot than it actually is in the run game, because we have so many options in the run game. On top of Montgomery and Gibbs, we also have Craig Reynolds, Jake Funk, Zonovan Knight, Jamar Jefferson, and then Vaki. And there's a really good chance. Yeah. There's a really good chance we have 5 running backs on our roster when the season starts. So
Dan Campbell likes it that way.
Yeah. Smash mouth football.
By the way, Zonovan Knight, Sean, you may remember him as Bam.
Yeah. No, I remember Zonovan for sure. All right. I'm gonna make Sam Laporta higher 7.5 receiving touchdowns. Your underdog play easy. You got a lot here. We got to fill out the graphic. So let's take a look.
Good. Wait,
yes.
Can I say one more?
Sure.
It doesn't have to go on my card. But they are pricing the Packers Lions.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Easy's card. Like
it looks awesome. It's so stacked. The Lions and the Packers, the chop this year is plus 110.
You want to add that?
Yeah, add that.
Okay, adding that to the card. I mean, go to youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. There's too many to relist.
I like the Lions this year.
We're
Sean.
big on the Lions.
This could go.
Knock
bad.
on wood. What could go wrong?
Really
I'm the pessimist at 12-5. Did not see that coming. Kramer and Easy 14-3. Easy's got them going all the way. Again, if the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl, I will be rooting for the Lions. Great fan base, great city. Wish them the best. And yeah, there's a ton of fun props, I think, because of what we can kind of expect from this passing game.
Yeah, and for those who are in the sheets, Sean, I have spun up the final standings tab so you can see how our records line up. A little underweight in the NFC.
You are
a little underweight.
Oh, is that how you got up to 14-3?
No. I'm looking at it now that it's basically everyone but the Niners in there, and I know I'm not going to be tremendously high on the Niners.
It's a quadrant game, it's a guessing game, but Easy. Appreciate you hopping on. Where can people check you out? I know you're in Discord. See you on YouTube. Give out the Twitter handle you got?
Yeah. So in the Discord all the time. On Twitter, I am BEasyBets with 2 Y's, and I'm also starting up a YouTube channel, Easy Betting Show with 2 Y's. That here in the next couple days, actually, I'll be throwing some stuff on. So yeah, check me out.
Check it out. Yeah, no, Easy hits me up with a ton of plays, gives out a ton of plays on Discord. Good guy to pick the brain, and look forward to hopefully
an ambassador.
Yes, an ambassador to Degen Nation. Hopefully, hopefully get you calling in on the pregame, postgame shows. We will be firing up the call line, Ryan. Discord. We're doing it through Discord. So
yes,
if you don't have Twitter,
it's back.
Yeah, don't worry. Get Discord. Good way to hop in there, call in. It's so fun for the pregame show and the postgame show, and people are pissed or people are touting. It's a great time. We're only weeks away, right?
Yep.
The countdown to kickoff is on, and yeah, keep writing down your entries. We're gonna announce where to submit the form, and then figure out when we're gonna pick the winner. I want if people are catching up, because we did put out 32 episodes, give them a few days, maybe a week. We got to figure out when we're gonna announce the winner, right?
Well, it's got to be enough time to get the future in, right?
Yeah, but we're going to be out in Vegas
Wednesday. NFL pick week 1 pick show sounds like a good deadline.
Yeah, that sounds like a good deadline. We'll put out a form, and also I did say people could mail in their entry, so we will have the place to mail in your entry. If people want to send in some snail mail with the actual handwritten thing, I am not opposed to that. Easy. Great to have you on the show. Appreciate the time. And of course,
thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Lions easy.
Kramer, let it ride.